Welcome everybody to Extreme Power No Handling, and today we're dealing with the 2016 Ariel Nomad. Now this has 774 horsepower, 447 pounds-feet of torque from a 3.2 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine. The car itself now weighs 1,449 pounds, only has a rear wheel drive, and it can do 0 to 60 in 3.26 seconds, 0 to 107.040 seconds, and going to a top speed of 209 miles an hour. Now I know this is obviously quite a modern car, and obviously modern cars are going to have better brakes and better suspension than some of the older stuff that we've had on this series, but this isn't the first modern car that we've had on this series either, and yeah, it is more of an off-road orientated vehicle, as you can see by the off-road tyres and the really well quite a pliable suspension that's dealt to deal with off-road conditions. So yeah, and at the end of the day this did not have 300 horsepower even in stock form. It had less than that, so we're dealing with well over twice the power it had originally, still going for those rear wheels, which yeah, at the end of the day we're not meant for that amount of power. So yeah, let's look at the stats first. Now stats wise, it is better than some cars that we've had on this series. 4.3 handling and 4.3 braking are fairly good, but that's within the context of the original power and the original torque that it had. Now we've got nearly 800 horsepower. I think you'd agree that 4.3 handling and 4.3 braking aren't particularly great for a car of that level of power, but the speed, acceleration and launch are pretty good, and yeah, it's reasonably you know, lacking in weight, so yeah, it's going to make the most of that power. Whether or not that's going to be a benefit, we'll have to see. And yeah, those off-road tyres aren't meant for dealing with tarmac, so that is also going to be an issue, especially with the tarmac being super slippery with the rain. So yeah, I'm expecting a lot of oversteer with this, but it will be really quick in a straight line. It's got all of that power, it doesn't weigh anything. So about whether or not we can keep it under control and yeah, not slide out, or at least spin out. Plenty of sliding, that's for sure. Yeah, as you can see there, getting 135 miles an hour, which is pretty good. And even though the brakes aren't the best, at least there isn't much in the way of momentum to slow down, given how little it weighs. And it probably won't get out of the kind of speeds it was used to on this track, so yeah, the brakes shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's purely the handling that, yeah, when to slide around is going to be a little bit of an issue. Drifting around a corner is always going to be slower than getting around it properly. There's certainly no slouch in terms of speed, nearly 150 down there. The fastest car we've had in a straight line, that's for sure. And a really rather fantastic first lap of 1 minute 18.028. Not quite the quickest car that we've had, but for a first lap that is pretty excellent. Yeah, it would be even quicker still if it wasn't sliding all over the place. Well, then again, this was meant for going off-road more than, you know, on-road, and therefore those tyres really don't have the best grip on this kind of surface. But it's doing fairly well, all things considered. Watch out to not spin out. Whoa, fantastic time there, 1 minute 15.209. This is without doubt the fastest car that we've had in this series so far. To be honest, I wasn't expecting that with the off-road tyres and the fact it's rear wheel drive, dealing with the wet, and having way more power than I was originally, but yeah, clearly it's sliding around, but in a controllable manner. And like I said, drifting around a corner is obviously not the fastest way around a corner, but it's doing the sliding around corners at a reasonable speed, so yeah, it's not drastically slowing the car down. Obviously, if it had better handling, you know, with handling upgrades and all-wheel drive maybe, it would be quicker, but as far as, you know, upgrading the engine, well, swapping in a massively powerful engine and fully upgrading it goes without changing anything else, like the gearbox has been changed with this, it's doing everything really rather nicely. Missed a checkpoint there. Despite that, that is another fantastic lap time. I think we've got about 1 minute 14. So yeah, that is, like I said, without doubt the fastest car that we've had on this series so far. Yeah, 1 minute 14.024 seconds. So yeah, to put that into context, the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, which was all-wheel drive and had even more power, although also more in the way of weight, was 1 minute 17.394, which was reasonable, but you know, that's more than 3 seconds slower than this. And yeah, then we had the Toyota FJ40 wasn't particularly quick in comparison to this. The Hennessy Velociraptor 6x6 is the closest in terms of this at 1 minute 15.859, which is fairly impressive given that car weighs, you know, about 4 or 5 times more than this, but it did have about nearly 1,000 horsepower more. So yeah, but yeah, that is the fastest, well, the second fastest time that we've had on this series so far, that Hennessy. So yeah, to be quicker than that, which yeah, had the all-wheel drive, had the massive amounts of power, is fairly impressive. And yeah, at the end of the day, this wasn't flaw-free, obviously, with all the oversteer that it had, but it was a controllable kind of oversteer, and on the straight line it was easily getting up to nearly 150 miles an hour, so that more than made up for any slowness around the corners, but it was controllable around the corners regardless of how it was getting around them. So yeah, overall really impressed with this. It will take a lot to beat that, but regardless, a fun car to drive in its own right in this upgraded form. But yeah, it's definitely a better car overall in its stock form, or with upgrades that do improve the handling. But at the end of the day, the whole point of this series is to see what a car can do without any handling upgrades, but a massive increase in extra power, and this dealt with it all really rather nicely. But yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.